Big news as coming off of the church thing that happened a couple weeks ago. There was the interruption of the church service going in there. I'll tell you what, actually, I'm very intrigued to talk to Ray about this.
Yeah,
Right, Ray,
I
you
have
saw
I
what
have feelings.
happened in
Yeah.
Minnesota about that, where they go in, they disrupt the service. You're a good church going guy. What were
Yeah.
your thoughts on all that?
I mean, there's certain things I think that you don't mess with, right? Like regardless of like whether you're into it or you're not into it, like there's certain things that you just kind of like leave alone. And this thing is getting so out of control to disrupt a house of worship that has nothing to do with what you're doing at all. I mean, like it just
Well,
you're lucky though.
they connected it to, I guess, one of the pastors was either in ICE or knew
Or
somebody.
supportive
Right.
or
So
supportive
for
of it,
them,
yeah.
for you to say nothing, they don't hear that.
Yeah, it's still nothing though. I mean, like
Right.
because people that actually have brains between their ears would argue that's not enough to go do that. And so, I mean, they're lucky down here in South Florida, dude. They passed a law actually in Florida. DeSantis did this like 3 years ago, where it's not written as like a law that allows you. It's actually written as a right. You have a right to be armed in houses of worship, and you have a right to defend your house of worship. So if that stuff happened down here, we'd be watching a very different news story.
Oh yeah,
An
yeah.
unbelievably different news story. So yeah, I just think it's disrespectful. Yeah, I mean, like that's my thing. Like
Okay.
pick it outside. Like I mean, you do what you do outside, but to go in interrupt the service, that's messed up. You're asking for it.
Well, I think most people would say, yeah, it's pretty messed up, right? Those who are not super ideologically driven, but there were some arrests made because there were some things that were done. Obviously, there's a couple different acts that they violated in doing so.
Yep.
And this morning we got the news that Don Lemon, who used to work for CNN, has also been arrested. He was there documenting the entire thing, and there people will have quips about, well, was he really a part of it, or was he just doing his journalistic duty, right? And
He's not a journalist.
well,
just make it bank robbery. So if I were to say I'm following these people who said they're going to rob a bank and I'm going to document it, you are now part of the crime. It's very simple.
Well, he is a part of the crime, as he has now been arrested after the anti-ICE protest. This is from BBC Blabs, which means
Which version do you want? The correct one?
the correct one.
Oh, British Broadcasting Corporation.
Okay. You know what's interesting about this is the idea that they are framing him as an independent journalist, but they refuse to frame Nick Shirley as an independent journalist here. It's interesting framing here. Lemon, now an independent journalist, was taken into custody by federal agents on Thursday night while in Los Angeles covering the Grammy Awards, according to his lawyer. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court, which, by the way, is probably the right way to do this. Like you don't fight them. If you're truly innocent, you fight them in court.
That's
Don has been a
usually.
journalist for 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. The lawyer added, this unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand.
This is their own act. This is his side's act that made that happen. So, sorry.
Cindy, have you followed any of this?
Yeah, I did a little bit. And honestly, they're not beating the allegations that the left is demons, like, especially for going into a church and stuff. Like, I don't understand the attack on Christianity or any religion for that matter.
It's interesting to see. Well, we saw this from Pam Bondi today. She says, at my direction earlier this morning, federal agents arrested Don Lemon and these folks in connection with the coordinated attack on the city's church in St. Paul, Minnesota. More details soon here. She's obviously getting a lot of praise and criticism for doing that. But I wanted to mostly talk about the reaction to this. Now, TMZ, if you recall, when Charlie Kirk was shot,
Oh, I remember.
they were literally laughing about it in the news.
I was actually on the show that day. We talked about that the day that all broke. We had a huge conversation about that.
We did. That was to see them react. So naturally, how do you think they're going to react to Don Lemon getting arrested? Well, this is their founder here, and they are also getting ratioed to fuck from all this. Don Lemon has been arrested. Could this change democracy forever?
That's not hyperbolic at all.
Let's go ahead and listen just a couple minutes of this, because I do have both sides to this argument.
So the Trump administration wonders why people are saying that they are trying to form a dictatorship. Well, look at the landscape. Arresting Don Lemon, who covered a protest in Minneapolis, is just insane, ridiculous, dictator-like. This is the playbook that dictators use to destroy democracy.
Is he allowed to do that gesture?
Great point, Cindy. Very, extremely anti-Semitic and quite possibly a Nazi.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Great point there, Cindy. Let's continue to maybe he makes a point here.
Dictators use to destroy democracies and take the will of the people away. It is as simple as that. The First Amendment is the First Amendment for a reason. It is considered the preferred amendment when you have to start balancing what's more important. The framers of the Constitution knew that a free press was essential to a democracy. Without a free press, you don't have a democracy. And it's real clear that Donald Trump and company doesn't want a free press. The idea.
If that was the case, he would not be allowed to speak.
Yeah.
100%.
And I really don't want to hear this from people who are desperately trying to take away our Second Amendment right.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that they so quickly jump to the Constitution when they have all the interest in the world in changing the Constitution.
Or to say that it's outdated.
Right. So he goes on for another 2 minutes of gobbledygook, and he's been ratioed here. Quartering came and says he didn't cover a protest. He actively participated in illegally storming a church.
Yeah.
Right there. Lorena, friend of the show, says we don't live in a democracy. We live in a representative republic. Don Lemon got what he deserved. Now let's see due process play out here. Clay Travis talking about this says Don Lemon has been arrested after a grand jury in Minnesota indicted him, leaving aside the alleged crime, which I believe he likely committed. This is the best thing that could have happened to Don Lemon's career. The arrest is his dream come true.
Yeah, because now he's a victim for the rest of his career.
I 1,000% agree. 1,000% agree. And it's funny, as we've talked about this, we were kind of black-pilled about this whole thing. And you go back to the original Nick Shirley story, we were like, what's ever going to happen with this? Nothing's ever going to happen, And now we're actually seeing things happen. And when this whole Don Lemon thing came out, we actually talked about this on the show, the idea that if him getting arrested would actually be awesome for his career, which, let's just be real, this is playing out perfect for Don Lemon.
I have such a racist comment to say.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there it is.
Is he going to get us booted off YouTube?
Face.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Then let's go ahead and hold off on that.
Yeah, let's hold that one.
I'll type it. I'll type it to you.
Okay, thank you. And go ahead, Ray.
Well, I get so frustrated because I don't understand when all the common sense about breaking the law has escaped all of our brains. I really don't understand. I watch this stuff, and did you break a law? Yes or no? Like we can talk about the ICE quote murders. We can talk about all the things that are happening in the news right now, right? If you disagree with a law, that does not give you the right to break that law. We have a process in this country. I disagree with this law. I go to my representative. We vote about it. And if enough people agree with me, then the law will change. The problem is no one agrees with you. And I keep seeing all these guys that are coming on social media and they're like, we are the majority and you MAGA fascists are the minority. And we're going to put you in camps after the next election and all this idiocy. And it's like, guys, can we just move the political side of this and say, did this person break the law or not break the law? What? Am I on crazy pills?
No, you're just noticing a trend. Speaking of Cindy, by all means, I don't think that's racist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think if it's data, if there's data and there's a trend, it's an observation. And people people already say istphobe, whatever, when it comes to this, it doesn't matter, whatever.
Yeah, it's hard not to notice like a very, very severe trend from Black people thinking that they can get clout by being arrested. Like Don Lemon is no exception here.
Well, Don Lemon is, he was the dude on CNN who,
Yep.
I mean, the propaganda pusher, during COVID was unbelievable. And I remember he was all about shaming people
100%.
during COVID. It was one of those things where and he really fucked up to be able to be fired from CNN of all things, God, I'm trying to find the Don Lemon COVID video because it was unbelievable the amount of shaming that he wanted to throw out there. Here we go. Here's just as a quick reminder. Here's Don Lemon during COVID here.
And so I think we have to stop coddling people when it comes to this and the vaccine, saying, "Oh, you can't shame them. You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly." Yes, they are. The people who aided and abetted Trump are stupid because they believed his big lie. The people who are not getting vaccines, who are believing the lies on the internet instead of science, it's time to start shaming them. What else? Or leave them behind.
And I agree. We absolutely should be shaming stupid people, which is why Don Lemon is getting shamed.
Yeah.
And I think you live by those words, you die by those words there, Don Lemon. And to be masquerading and trying to hide behind the veil of journalist, when in reality, he was an activist and has been an activist, tied around the idea of independent journalist. Oh, I'm just an independent journalist.
But hold on, I'm a member of the media, right? There are no independent journalists. You have to be covered and credentialed by an organization that has been approved to cover, and anyone can go outside of their cell phone and call themselves an independent journalist. Anyone, I mean, the technology is so far advanced from where it was even 5 years ago.
Sure.
But even to that point, to be considered a journalist, independent journalist is not a real thing. You have to be covered in some agency, in some credentialed agency, in some governing authority where you just, I don't get why the goalposts keep moving for every single thing.
Are you talking about being a journalist?
Yeah.
Okay, here's as somebody, I don't know, Ray, do you have a journalism degree?
No, I do not have a journalism degree, but I earned my stripes and earned my credentials.
I do, right? I have a degree in journalism. Here's my thoughts on that. I think that anybody can be a journalist. Personally, that's my thoughts on this. Because
hold on, but not to get you access.
Let me finish my thought here. The reason I say that is because anybody can ask questions. And everybody should ask questions, and that ultimately is what a journalist does. And their job is to report what's being seen. So if you like Nick Shirley, I think 100% is a journalist. Why? Because he has his own outlet. He created his outlet. Why would CBS or NBC or CNN or any of these outlets be why? Because they've been around longer. Like Nick Shirley making his own media company is just as valuable and accredited as any of these other places. I like those places are obsolete at this point. Those are propaganda machines. So I think that anybody can be a journalist.
Yeah, but hold on. Let me piggyback off what you're saying. I'm not actually disagreeing with you, but the point that I'm making is my world was sports media. Okay. I started a blog as a ruse, and the blog exploded and got so big that the team that I was covering and I both got sued by the Washington Post and accused of me putting the Washington Post out of business because they couldn't sell newspapers because there was no governing body that was actually credentialing me, and the organization credentialed me. I'm not saying that everyone can't have an opinion, and I'm not saying that everyone can't go online and share that opinion and gain millions and whatever followers and viewers and fans and all things. We do that every day as content creators, right? We're building whatever it is that we're building in media. But you can't just go and get every person that has a cell phone and opinion doesn't get sideline credentials to the Super Bowl. That's my point. That whole concept of independent journalists that has access to these things is not real. The access is not real.
No, you're talking about the technical thing, because anyone can technically be a journalist, but as far as if you want to gain, you're talking press credentials. That's where you would need.
Yeah, which would allow Don Lemon to be standing in restricted areas and reporting on the news and reporting what's happening. If he's not credentialed and he doesn't have that, then he's not. That's what I'm saying. Independent journalism doesn't exist in that way. If you walked up or if Cine walked up, or if Blabs walked up to that event, to that protest, to that whatever, there's going to be police barricades, there's going to be yellow tape, there's going to be all these things that you have to get through. Anyone can't just walk through that and be behind the curtain. That's my point.
Yeah.
Well-
Wouldn't that set like a dangerous precedent too? Like if Don Lemon gets away with this, like wouldn't people be like, oh, okay, because he said he's a journalist, I should be able to go anywhere I want now.
I agree with what you're saying, right? There is something to credibility, right? But as far as access goes to like a sporting event, or like I go back 20 years at my first E3, right? E3 doesn't even exist anymore, but I went to my first E3. All I had was a website and a fake business card, and they let me in, right?
Yeah.
Did I have any sort of, was I IGN? Was I whatever? No, right? But I had a camera.
Yeah.
You know, at the time I had a camera and a microphone, and ultimately that's what it comes down to. Now, when it comes to like something like this, there's no access to a church. You don't have to like show a business card. So anybody walking in can technically be their own journalist, right? I very much believe in the Elon Musk message of like, you are the media now, right? That's the truth, because everybody does have better technology in their hand right now than we've seen in the last half a century, you know?
And I just to be clear though, like even if you had press credentials, this would still have been illegal.
Yes.
Well, yeah, like the way that they stormed the church and what they did. However, the press does have the ability to drop in and try to ask questions. Like you, when you're credentialed,
right, but that's not what he did. He was basically like, if you made this murder, you're with someone. They're saying we're going to murder person X. They're going with them to go to the crime to murder.
Yeah.
So you can't. It's still illegal.
Yeah, 100% it's still legal. But the point that I'm trying to make, the original point, is that there are legal protections that members of the press and members of the media have to get access to and to do certain things. And that article that we just read, referring to him as an independent, like, that's just not real. Like, you're trying to make excuses in a way that doesn't exist. That's my point.
The chat says this very, very well, right? Krovac says, once pastor told Lemon to leave and he refused, he was guilty of trespassing, number one. Yes. And also, I don't care who's a journalist, but you can't break the law.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bigger thing here, right? I don't care if you're credentialed or not, right? Clips of the show all the time. The live show Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Hit that subscribe button right here.